All right, we're finally live. It's been a while, so bear with me. If it's a little hesitant and a little patient in between, I'm gonna try to get the major points across as much as possible and make sure I stay focused as much as possible. I may veer off a little bit. Like I said, it's my first time doing a live video in a while, and it won't be the last one. So I appreciate anybody that looks at it, that is live looking at it. Definitely appreciate your time. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at CampaignGanG Media. Click that like button. Follow us on YouTube and subscribe. CampaignGanG Media, Instagram, CampaignGanG Media. Support us and stay linked into our high quality content, because we do that for you all, whether I know you personally or I don't know you personally. It's done to keep you elevated, motivated, and inspired. So I wanted to make a video. It's been a while. I've been debating on it. I wanted to make a video to pretty much make it simple. Some of y'all already probably know about CGM to some degree. So this video will hopefully put it in more perspective for you and give you an idea of our mission, our values, and our actual statements of what we're going to be doing. Pretty much our objectives. I think it's easier by video, and a lot of us like to see video versus read. So hopefully this gets the point across to you. And if not, ask plenty of questions on the page, and I will answer them as much as possible. I have somebody answer them. So let's get it started. What I did was, as most people that's try to be organized, I laid out a few objectives to make sure I hit the right point. So bear with me if I kind of slow down. I'm trying to stay with it. All right, so there we go. Now y'all can really see the groove. All right, so what I'm gonna do is give me a moment. I'm gonna get what I need together. I think I want to kind of start off with one of the most important documents, and that document is a document I derived a little bit over a year and a half, 2 years ago, to put CampaignGanG in a total different perspective other than just a name or a hashtag. So with this document, I put our mission statement, our vision, and some of our values that we stand by as a team and as a company, and some of the things I want to see as ethics behind everything we do. So hopefully they kind of give you a sense of entitlement, responsibility, social responsibility, and personal responsibility. Because I believe firmly in bettering ourselves, first of all, individually, to be able to go out and better everybody else we encounter. So when I created these, I sat down and I really thought deep into how I felt about a lot of businesses I've encountered on all levels, from all industries, and how they operate on their values. So hopefully we can differentiate that, and we can make our environment a lot greater and a lot awesome with who we come encounter with. So I'm gonna start off to pretty much give you a rundown of the document. Some of you already have had the document emailed. Some of you've read over it. I'm pretty sure some of you haven't. But I'm gonna go ahead and run down through it and give you a little elaborate details behind certain parts. First, I think I would want to start off with explaining, as anything, a question you should ask yourself. You always should ask yourself, no matter whether you're making a personal decision right now, this moment, or you're making a decision for something tomorrow, or a business decision, you always ask yourself, why? What is the purpose? Why am I doing this? What do I want out of this? Those type of questions. Because I seem to think, I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that. You don't have to be a genius to understand the process of thinking, or proper thinking, or preventative thinking. Let's just put it that way. So I'm gonna explain the why behind CGM and how the story came about. It's gonna kind of go through a couple points. I'm gonna tell you about the story behind CGM. I'm gonna tell you about the mission, and I'm also elaborate on the vision. It's a difference, and I'm kind of get down into the marketing. I'm not gonna get too deep into the marketing, but I'm gonna talk about our target market, as in who we plan to help, or who CampaignGanG particularly plans to service. So let's get started with our why. This document, first of all, let's just get the disclosure out. It's not a solid document. It's being edited and revised weekly as we discover, and we are in our research stage. This vision provides the direction for the development of all departments and products and services provided by our corporation. So for the most part, everything that I've included in this document, it paves the way for every team or every associate or every partnership we may have with CGM. So that means that even if you have your own business, which I plan on tagging with mostly entrepreneurs that own their own entities, our whole policy, as far as in the forefront of CampaignGanG, can service and can allow their independent contractors to adapt to our beliefs and our follows, and it be safe. So that's pretty much why I worded it and put it that way. And of course, all businesses should have their own policies, but in case we cross on events, independent contractors that understand what we stand for and compare it to where they're coming from. So on to our vision. Our vision is kind of split. And what I mean by split, I dwelled over the wild and thought of a definite, an absolute vision, one vision possibly, and try to get the point across. But being that we have a very large objective list and a vision, our mission is complex, and our vision is split and complex. It's several visions, but they all tie into each other, so it won't be confusing. And if it is confusing, make sure you let me know, your opinion or your suggestion on it, and we can work with that. That'd be highly appreciated. So one of the number one visions I believe that gives the best understanding of what is CGM's vision is to be the number one urban inspirational media choice on all electronic devices, empowering every viewer that visits us, whether it's on the web, whether it's personal or a meeting or this virtual type of meeting we're gonna start be doing. We want to be the number one urban inspirational media. And what I mean by inspirational media, that means the term that you probably seen me throwing around, some of you guys, edutainment. Edutainment has a definition, and we're going to reinvent the definition. It's similar to ours, but we're reinventing it to be a definite and an absolute for our community. So with edutainment, to sum it up, it's pretty much an educating, enlightening way to learn things, whether it's video, via text, stories, whatever. It's an entertaining way to get a motto or a moral across. We kind of got tired of seeing stuff like World Star Hip Hop, some of the stuff on YouTube. It's nice quality of stuff when you see it. You see a video or you read something, but by the time you're done, it's just like, okay, on to the next. So we kind of got tired of that. We wanted to create content and create constant content that is attached to your life, that you can apply with value to your life. You can learn something from it. You can take from it and either become greater or lessen some of the less greater parts of your life. So that's edutainment for the most part. Excuse me. Somebody's calling in. Let me decline that. All right. All right, never mind that. All right, excuse me, give me a second. Let me go ahead and make sure I lock that off so we don't have to worry about interruption. All right. Now carrying on. Like I said, number one urban inspirational media choice on all devices. And when I say all devices, I mean smart TVs, cell phones, laptops, any device that you use to browse Facebook, Instagram, whatever you browse throughout your day. We aim to be that number one source on that, whether it's via shopping or looking for better deals or new news, local news, world news, entertainment news, music downloads, or movies, anything of such of entertainment or research basis. We want to be number one in your mind. We pretty much want you to come to CampaignGanG and find the source of everything with credible facts behind it. What I mean by credible, I mean stuff that you can take substance and you can research and find other sources on that makes it factual other than just opinions. So that's one of the major things, and that's going into some of our values also. But aside from that vision, that's the number one vision, and empowering is something that we do. I guess you could say from the core of the founders, even for myself, empowering is something personal and sensitive to me. Being empowering for one, it means a lot of value for me personally, one-on-one. If I feel like if I can empower any individual, whether it's personally or video or any type of way, that's far more great than any kind that has spent money with me times 10. Because if I empower you to be greater than what you are, in turn, you'll be happy, and you'll always be happy to take initiative either towards your careers or a common goal we may have. And that type of person of productivity is always great to be around. I think we all can agree to that from experiences. So on to the next vision. I'm gonna run down a couple of them and try to be brief on it. Like I said, it's my first video in a while, so I'm trying to elaborate on as much as possible. Um, so the next vision I kind of thought of that hit some major points is to become an online interactive community for edutainment. And I gave the definition on edutainment not long ago. I have a document published in the Facebook group, the private group for one, but I'll make sure I put that out more um, in turn for visible use to understand what edutainment is. But we want to become an online interactive community. And what I mean by online interactive, I mean similar to Facebook and some of the sites we use now, as in likes, tweets, retweets, or those type of actions, to where you can show interest in what you're reading or what you encounter. Interactive as in being able to chat one-on-one with people or with family and friends or group chats and so forth, and also video chat, of course. So we kind of want to create a community that's thriving and always thriving on, of course, entrepreneurship, inspiring behaviors, meaning you can go and speak to someone that is either experienced in something of your interest, and you can speak to them to get inspiration to understand which direction you need to go in, or to just possibly get advice and find a mentor. Um, from finding jobs to finding local events, all those type of interactions. That's something we want to kind of work towards with our vision. We kind of see to fit building our own communities and building our own resources before reaching out to outside resources. So we thought creating an actual interactive community would be a good way to start. Um, so from there, we'll be able to grow and proceed. Give me one more second. Let me pull this up because I'm gonna need this for the next pointer. So 1 second. I need this for the next pointer. All right, so then I got that. Got that document together. All right, I just wanted to kind of line up what I'm gonna need next as I go into the next pointer. And I'm gonna come on back and get that off the screen. So like I was saying, that vision statement itself, it kind of explains a lot of our mission, and that's to build the online community, and not only an online community, our offline community, to where we're benefiting amongst our people, and our followers out in every city from Atlanta, South Carolina, to Florida, to Texas, wherever you are. We're looking to touch and build a home there for the youth, particularly, and for the young millennials and our baby boomers, which are the older entrepreneurs. We want a hub in a place to where you can come and interact and actually build, offer resources, and take advantage of your time for the most part, because we all can agree that our time is valuable in a lot of ways. On to the next vision, one that kind of resonates a total different part of our mission, but it brings a deep core definition behind our value, and that's to actually go about in our cities and our chosen target markets in our communities, and to build up-to-date technological, educational, financial, and mentor sources. Excuse me. With building these sources, we feel, and I personally feel, building certain sources in our communities and in our areas of interest would also always build stability for us as a company, and not only as a company, for those that are coming in. It attracts a certain level of potential employees or teammates or partners, however you want to put it. Resources is something I think a lot of us lack, whether you got money or you don't have money. The fact to have extra resources to be able to get to a certain objective and goal, I think we all can benefit from that. So one of our visions is to be able to take our resources and build new resources and new areas that are undersourced. Like we currently live in Atlanta, and there are lots of parts of Atlanta that just do not have the particular resources to rehabilitate these communities that other parts of Atlanta do have and always have year round. So we'd like to replenish that in a lot of areas that are feasible and potential areas where they can grow. Using technological, educational, financial, and mentoring sources. The mentoring sources, of course, would be through our veterans and those that have volunteer time to actually lend out and reach out. So that would be of importance of value, because these people will be using their time to reach out in the community of CGM and interact with the following. So the quality of our following is very important behind it. Also using the technological tools and resources we have, of course, starting off to be limited. So it won't be one of those type things where we have plenty for just to waste and give out and all that type of stuff. No, but we do plan to research and get outsourced financial situations going so that we can adequately spread our resources in the right places, like to the high schools, the middle schools, and some of these underprivileged neighborhoods to where they are going through potential rehabilitation stages. Aside from that, that's that statement, and like I said, within itself, it tells a lot about our values and where we plan to go within our mission. On to the next one, establishing market presence and extend the technological growth and advances in Atlanta and metro cities. That kind of touches back on the last one, but I left it because in a different tone, it explains one of our main objectives, and that's branding, of course. We want to get a nice amount of market presence where CampaignGanG is everywhere, and it's understood of a developmental resource in all levels, from business, e-commerce to social responsibility, you name it. But we want to establish market presence, and we want people to be able to understand what we stand for and what we are capable of as an entity. Using our technological resources. We actually want to help the growth of Atlanta, being that Atlanta is going to be one of the #1 technological cities or technology cities of the South. That's a guarantee. Besides Jacksonville, Atlanta is guaranteed to be a technological city. So we want to advance that growth in any kind of form and eradicate that growth any type of way we can. And we also want to be a part of that growth, because it's happening very fast and spontaneously on all levels. But most important, we want to be a major Atlanta graphic and digital advertising think hub. And when I say advertising think hub, I mean a place where you can come and you can use the tools and resources that we have on hand, from computers, software, printing, recording, whatever, editing. You can come to this place and you can actually meet with like-minded individuals and get your projects going. Whether it's a one-man project that you need more manpower at this particular place, you'll be able to come here and get these tools and meet within a creative environment. That's something we kind of want to extend and spread out as soon as possible. That'd be kind of nice as a resource, starting and being established. So that's one of the major visions, I think, that ties into the #1 vision, the urban inspiration media choice. If we become a major Atlanta graphic and digital advertising think hub, that entails more jobs. We can hire people, of course, help the economy, because that means we're generating revenue based upon our brand and our contracts. And not only that, we have the name and establishment of good quality work, so therefore people would be comfortable to pour into CGM and invest into CGM for positive reasons. And as far as in digital advertising is a major industry right now, and it sums up a lot of what we do at the service end of the business. Um, Digital advertisement consists of online advertisement from social media, YouTube, and video advertising, physical ads, digital graphic art advertising, just different styles of ads that we particularly touch and use as a service. Um, and like I said, the Think Hub is just a place for you to be able to come to and like-minded individuals to put their minds together and bring the ideas into reality. Um, I'm thinking of doing the Think Hub online also, because it's something different. And we do plan on doing live workshops, but the Think Hub is something I want to do probably once a week and have those that are innovators and potential entrepreneurs come together, like such as on video. And we pretty much chat and answer questions amongst each other from experience. Um, and I kind of I babble my mind on a lot. I'd rather at that extent of the Think Hub be unexperienced people for the most part, people that are going through physical experience or trying and actually out here trying to learn how to walk into entrepreneurship through experience instead of the literature ways and the schooling, because working together that way, experience is the best teacher. We can actually have more time to chat with each other. Most people in school, in between jobs and so forth, less time, and it's kind of difficult to receive advice from those individuals. So I would rather it be us that's actually either 100% entrepreneurs or we're 100% in the research and the process of taking action on our visions. So that's something I want to do to think of. Hopefully, that pretty much summed up our vision, and it kind of gave parts of our why and our purpose. But I'm gonna elaborate a lot more on simplicity of our why and our purpose. I feel like the why of CampaignGanG and why I decided to develop CampaignGanG Media is based upon like anything that's created. It's a personal experience and it's personal, you know, adversities that kind of formulate great ideas, in my opinion. So one of my great experiences, I would say, is always being in media and some type of art has always been a passion of mine. That's something I find excitement. But not having resources kind of limits that and makes it hard. It takes away the imagination. It takes away the morale to do these things. So in the mix of that, while we were creating the name and playing around with the name CampaignGanG, speaking of that, I'm gonna just start from the top. CampaignGanG, actually, the name came and derived from a buddy of mine, Cooley Sway. We were sitting around in Cascade and just joking around like normal days, thinking of ways to actually explore our ideas and get it out there on the platform to where people would want to take interest in it. So we was just screaming names, and for a while we were always saying CampaignGanG, you know, CampaignGanG this, CampaignGanG that, and it was one of those things where it was our own personal entourage, something that we used and attached to pretty much solicit our content, whether it was music or it was a graphic that I was doing or a little video or something. It was just something that we were able to brand and stamp with it. And from that, it elevated. It went from just the idea and that's talking between each other, joking, you know, adding value to it between other people. It went from that to us making skits, putting it on mixtapes, putting on videos, and just being funny with the name. And from that, you know, I kind of took it in weeks and weeks and put the guru on it, put some stank on it, thought about the idea, how it can be more than just a name and idea, and kind of how it could benefit where we were trying to go and where our vision is set. So from that point on, I started thinking about what I do, you know, for the most part, which is media and advertising for the most part. And CampaignGanG kind of suits that. And not only that, we felt like it was on a higher standard, like a political type standard of name. So I took that and did some research on it and thought about creating a media outlet. And from that, I created a blog site. And that's where CampaignGanG actually received its first virtual presence from the blog site. Now, the blog site particularly covered events, city events around Atlanta, like Outcast events, just different stuff like that. And that's kind of where we went from there. And then that went on for about a year or so of us doing different events and screaming Campaign Gang behind it, and not really having the particular vision we have today. And as we did that, my partner, like I said, Sway, continued to do his music portion and actually explored it that way. So I started taking the business approach and started putting services behind it and started actually putting content behind Campaign Gang's name. A year and a half into that, just exploring and finding ideas, and we're figuring out ways of stuff we want to do, like community events. Took that and elevated it to an actual LLC in a company front, Campaign Gang Media. And with the Campaign Gang Media, that came a platform and the whole idea of building a complete business behind it, from photography, videography, resume services, online advertising, social media building, you name it. It derived to that. And once we got to the point to establish and understand that, and get a taste of our own market, that made it easier for us to see the vision and to understand where we can go with just the name and building the company. With that, once we got to the point of Campaign Gang Media, started deriving a business plan, started getting an understanding of our target market, the possibilities of where we at. What? I'm live, bro. Yeah, so we started going through steps of that, and from that, it derived and went on to actually being a live entity. And once it became a live entity, we were able to start making some type of small amount of money, not much money, but just here and there money, every 30-day base off of certain services. And here we are today, trying to get established as in constant income and getting the services off the ground and getting the branding out and getting people to understand what CGM stands for. And that's the most important thing, But the main point is from day one starting, the experiences we went through and the growth of our timeline, it all stemmed from just the idea in the name. And once we got more value behind it from the idea in the name, it evolved, and it still is evolving, to this day. We actually just going into 1 year of, I would say, baby booming experiencing. And what I mean by that is actually getting and deriving teammates, team members, making a little bit more money as far as in our own services, and actually getting a little branding, a surface of branding amongst our community, whether online or verbatim in the city. So that's the point we're at now with where CGM comes from and the history behind CGM. Not only that, one of the other things is we kind of thought of like what all avenues could we touch as an entity or business to get our actual mission across the board. So the CGM, like I said, it started with just the name. It started from music, and those were just avenues that we were doing at the time. Now, being that we have a lot more capabilities and we're moving a little bit different, we have a lot more to offer. We got a lot more benefits, and the purpose has evolved. The purpose has became more elaborate and more particular and absolute. And like I said, as you can see the visions from the top that I stated, it has become a clear vision. So, and that's the direction we plan to move in and continue to grow Campaign Gang itself, and to get the idea across. So our why simply is, to balance out the inequality, and inequality of all communities, whether verbatim African American communities, white communities, Asian, whatever community, to balance out the inequality of technological growth. And like I said, that's verbatim resources, everything that's needed behind that. That's part of our why, and the fact that we lack resources that we needed to actually build, and being able to help others overcome those adversities, it kind of serves our why. It kind of satisfies our why we are are out here in the community, reaching out and particularly selling our services. Another why is we have a different outlook. I have a different outlook of creativity, and we have a very particular outlook of creativity. Like I said, edutainment is our way of creativity, and that way is totally different than the normal. What we used to is just flat and blah to us, black and white. We add color to that. We add a reason and value behind everything we particularly do. And it's a greater reason and greater value than just your view or your click or selling you something on the next screen. It's much bigger than that with CGM. So with that being said, our why and our purpose is very, very deep. And we expect it to be complex and complicated in a long mission. I really expect that to be very long. It's not going to happen overnight. So we plan on actually to touch the last point of who we plan on servicing, which I was leading into just on the last couple statements. Our particular choice of target market, it ranges. It's not as complex as it used to be. It's a little bit more definite now, being that we're going through our market research studies. We particularly look to target the urbancy. And what I mean by the urbancy and the urban communities, I don't mean just black people or African American people, however you want to put it. I mean urban as in anybody that has a hip personality or understands the urban hip hop side of life or that lifestyle. That can be adopted by any culture of person. You know, you have all cultures of people that are hip and they are brought up in different communities and adapt to that. So it's not a color thing when it comes down to that. And I try to make that clear as much as possible when I convey that to partners and everybody else because it's confusing. Urban gets thrown around in all type of forms and ways. But when I say urban, I mean metroplex, like places where you have the music, you have the entertainment, and they're thriving off of these type of artistic avenues of things and trends. So that's one of our main target of group. Now, when you say age, we thinking always a maturity state, a breaking point. And what I mean by that is maturity state. Age is starting from 17, 16. Things have changed now, especially with technology. Most of the base of people that are using technological strategies, they are young. They're from 16, 17, 18, and in that range. So we particularly want to start young, get those young age and researchers and potential entrepreneurs thinking and understanding resources that are out here, especially the ones that we're offering. So if we can get it in those individual hands, those are the future. Those are the after us, and those are going to be the people that will actually look for our advice and potentially take care of us. So yeah, to reach those early, that'd be great, and that's one of our main pointers. So 17, 16 and up, you know, is one of our main age points, and our prime would be the ages 18 and all the way up to, I particularly say 34. That's being that most of those age ranges, they're either still active, they're still researching, still reading as much. They're looking for avenues and resources to become greater and better. And I think a large portion of our services can benefit them on the inspirational end. As far as the business and the business to business aspect, we're looking at the baby boomers, the ages between 34 and particularly 54. Being that out of research, the age range, like I said, the baby boomers, they have retirements. They're looking for other ways to reinvent themselves. They're looking for fresh content to keep them active and in tune to what's going on and what's next and what's new in the simplest ways. So if we can touch those individuals, that'd be great. And I noticed that on the market, as a little point, I hate to slip out, but being that if you're seeing this video, I have no problem pointing out or giving tips. The age of people, they are more so the movers. Those are who are making a lot of these businesses possible because they've went through experience and they have the resources, some type of resources for a starting point. And I noticed a lot of the networks and the businesses that are coming up, service-based, whether service-based or not, they're not catering to that age range, quote unquote, our seniors. They leave them in the dark pretty much. So that's something I don't want to do with CGM. I want to actually be able to enlighten them and wean them into this whole emergence of technology process. Whether it's your grandma, your auntie that just not hip to technology, we should be able to get them over and crossed over to use technology as simple as possible. Because a lot of cities are becoming technology based, and a lot of people are getting into technology and not using it proficiently, and probably would want to. So to keep that short, that's part of who will help. Like I said, young ages, mid ages, it's a wide range of who we plan to help on different aspects and levels. Um, and from that point, we're going to really elaborate on our marketing plan to really touch it in different avenues and creative ways to make it stick. How we plan on helping these individuals, like I said, is content deriving attractive, educational, edutainment-based content, from stories to videos to actual audio content and the whole nine. We know that most people like to actually learn in different ways, so we plan to hit it in versatility and diversity, because we all like to process things differently, and we keep that in mind. But mostly community-based. We do online for the most part, because the virtual world is hip, and a lot of people's getting more hip to it via thanks to Facebook and Instagram and all those. So it should be easy to get people to convert over to CGM with a high quality of content and resources. Outside of online, we plan offline to actually go into other groups that have similar interests and infiltrate, particularly in a good way, the benefits we have to help those groups that are already building towards visions and goals similar to ours. That way we can strengthen the mission at a global level, and also get our branding out. Because volunteer is something that me personally, as an owner, I'm always do. I'll be always welcome to help. That's just something that I feel like as a core that is one of my strengths. It should be one of your strengths. Also, volunteering. I think it's something that gets swallowed up as all of us try to become entrepreneurs. It gets minimum as we try to get larger towards the vision of that money. So volunteers should always be as large as that profit that you see in your mind. So that's something that I think we'll do as a way of how we plan on reaching our target market. Besides that, we plan on actually getting out and going to a lot more events, getting shirts out, getting material out, getting merchandise, free merchandise out at that, and cross marketing. On the online note, how again, we're going to do some real guerrilla marketing. What I mean by guerrilla marketing, I mean like gun-ho marketing, targeting people as in high potentials, networking with them, emailing them, social media them, staying on them, and pretty much enlightening them about what we stand for and our vision and how we can benefit them and how they can benefit us, building that relationship. That's something that a lot of people overlook, because there's so many tools and options out here now that that relationship building and network, it goes broken-ended. So that's something that we're going to teach, and not only teach, we're going to follow to actually build the strength of our entity. So that kind of sums up how we plan on accomplishing our mission and actually reaching out to our target market. Hopefully that gave you a good idea. I know I kind of talked between topics, but hopefully that gave you a good idea of the story behind CGM, for one, the mission, the vision, and then also who we plan to help and how. If it didn't give you the clarity, like I said, feel free to go into the Facebook group, either our Facebook page, that's fine, to actually ask you questions, or I can see about getting you invited to one of our private groups, depending on your status and who you are, to add you in that group and ask questions. Or you can always feel free to comment on the YouTube, however you feel free, or either email us at CampaignGangAtlanta@gmail.com. That works also. So we're going to go on to the next, which is our values. And you know what? Before that, I just thought about it. I went down our vision. I didn't really go down our mission so much. So I'm going to elaborate on the mission a little bit. And it's a difference. I'm going to kind of touch on the difference. It's like a million tutorials out there on the difference between a mission and vision. And the difference I noticed, your vision pretty much is where you see yourself. Like 10 years from now, what do you see yourself doing? What do you see your business doing? the actions, the activities, um, the magnitude of what you plan to be doing from now. That's your vision. Your mission is pretty much what you plan to carry out. What are you doing now? And how are you doing it? How do you plan doing it? That's pretty much, to me, your mission. Um, and your purpose to a point. Your vision has your purpose to parts of it, but your mission carries your purpose to a large degree. So I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate on our mission, and hopefully you get to pick the difference and see how they benefit each other. And like I said on the document, if you have the document, reading them at that point, it helps you understand the difference and how they complement each other. So that'll be something, even as an entrepreneur, if you haven't got to that part of your business, it's good that you get that understanding. Not all businesses have both. Not all businesses require both, a mission and a vision. Some do, some don't. But in particularly in this case, our mission in detail is to have CGM become a household brand. We are dedicated to deliver a transparent message of empowerment, inspiration, and social responsibility through media and technology. Technology, excuse me. Got to yarn out. To create individual freedom in a state of well-being. What that means is, I'm gonna start from the bottom. Creating individual freedom in a state of well-being. That particularly means we all have, like I said from the top, personal experience and adversities, and things we go through daily, and from lifehood, childhood, whatever you want to call it. We got things we go through, and it's an ongoing battle. Every day is a battle, trying to figure out how to get over that adversity, how to build through it, how to become better, how to be awesome, all those things. We want to create an environment, period, a community to where you can come and you can get a sense of individual freedom. You can be yourself. You can speak plurally. You can speak singularly, however you want to speak about how you're feeling. You can speak and get somebody to inspire you in particular versus downgrade your thought or belittle your thought. That's something we kind of want to alleviate. And it's a tough task because the internet is wide open. Everybody has access to say whatever, to have whatever opinions, and to be internet gangsters. But we want to kind of alleviate that as much as possible, being that we'll have particularly moderators on the site. And these are our spirit moderators. We call them spirit moderators. These are the people that kind of keep things on a positive note and less of a negative opinionated note. We welcome those opinions and feedback, but it's for a greater purpose, for constructive reasons. But like I said, we want to create an individual sense of freedom and a state of well-being. State of well-being, that means whatever your mindset is at the point that may not be working for you, we want to help you overcome that, oversee that. Because one thing I know personally, it's hard to see out your own eyes everything that's entailed with who you are. We sugarcoat ourselves. We make ourselves feel better about a lot of choices we make throughout life and a lot of stuff we do. So we want to be able to enlighten that and open your mind up to yourself to where you can get a self state of healthy being, become happy, inner peace within yourself, to grow and elevate. That's the most important thing. Whether you're trying to become an entrepreneur or you're trying to get a job, it shows what's on the inside of you in your face, and I'm a big experiencer of that. So that's something we want to try to help and extend out upon our mission with everybody we encounter, a good sense of well-being, a good way to carry themselves in every environment to every extent. That's important with our youth as well, not being taught values and preventative thinking. Individual freedom again, that tags in onto being able to have self-control and move in the direction you want to move at any point in your life, whether young or older, and not being forced or feeling forced to do things in life that you particularly not happy with. And that's of much importance. A lot of us are faking happiness, not happy day in and day out, can't be happy for a million different reasons. That's something we tend to kind of alleviate. Working on up to the next part. We are dedicated to deliver a transparent message of empowerment, inspiration, and social responsibility through media and technology. That means until that simple as it put, we have a huge responsibility and dedication that we take on seriously to deliver as simple as possible with no hitting strings. Like I said, anytime we put in our content, one of our biggest things I want to enforce is that, yes, everything has a purpose and a why behind it, but I want our why to always be transparent. I want everything that's published through CGM to always be understood for what it is, and not like this political race we're dealing with. I wanted it to be on the forefront to where it's understood and it can be accepted by the viewers as it is, as much as possible. Um, the message of empowerment, that's a given. I mean, I think that's something that's easily understood, but empowerment, like I said, is a major, major thing that needs to thrive, not only in CGM's walls, but in the communities that we go and face. It's so much negativity going on every day, and it's easily consumed. So being able to empower those that you come around and the people you speak to, that's power within itself, and that's value within itself, something that we must, as individuals, learn to do besides or before we choose to, I guess, declamorate or make a situation worse. Um, with being able to deliver that message of empowerment, that helps us build quality behind our purpose of content and what we're doing. And also adds value on the other end of who's reading and who's viewing and who feels about what. So that's something I kind of want to stress, that we stick to at core, being able to empower each other as a family and outside of family and community, empowering somebody you encounter every day. Inspiration, that's something that must, I think we all can appreciate inspirational moments and being able to feel inspired. But I know a lot of us go day in and day out and week in and week out not having any type of inspirational encounters. And that alone is dangerous. It's poisonous to the soul and spirit. I know that from experience. So we definitely want to deliver our message in an inspirational tone, meaning everything we derive to understand it. By the end of it, you take and you can grow from it and feel better about yourself versus worse about what's going on. That also came from something we laugh about all the time and talk about. I'm sure we all watch the news every now and then. I don't watch it as much anymore, but I read about it, so I understand still. But watching the news, listening to the radio stations now, live stations, you get a line of the same content, negative content on top of negative content. And it's nothing really inspirational. And if it is, it's slipped in right behind the negative after negative after negative, and you kind of miss it. So it's kind of pointless to a lot of ways. But we want to kind of enforce that and push inspirational media as much as possible. And you will see that hashtag a lot being used between us. That's something we want to build a lot of impressions on. That trend of inspirational media. We really want to get that out as much as possible and get people influenced thinking that way. So that's a major point of that. And then on to the most important part, I think, and me personally, besides the medium of how we're doing it, instilling social responsibility. Like, I'm not gonna go too deep in depth with that because I can go a long, I can shoot a whole video on that itself. But social responsibility, that's something I think not all of us can adapt to right away. It takes time, it takes experience, it takes you understanding your why, your purpose, and becoming a greater person within yourself to understand social responsibility on a certain level and apply it always. Because you can understand it and not be able to apply it in certain situations. But social responsibility, I think, the way I see it with CGM and how we will go out and implement that is understanding ethnic and understand purpose and value of people, no matter the color. But I believe in a lot of ways, if you're older or you're of the age of 25 or better, you have a huge social responsibility. And what I mean by social responsibility, you are accountable for those beneath you. And likewise for those above us. You are accountable for the things that happen, whether it's your kid or whether it's your family member or not. In a lot of ways, if you encounter that situation, you are responsible. And what I mean by responsible is addressing that situation to correct it in a positive manner without conflict or confrontation as much as possible. Of course, not all situations you can be socially responsible for, and you have to be able to take preventative measures, but that's part of being a human being. But as far as social responsibility, it's one of those things, due diligence, that we all are accountable for what goes on around us and how it happens around us and whether we allow that or not. That is our social responsibility. So that's something I kind of want to deliver, to our community and especially to the youth, getting them to understand social responsibility, what they are responsible for to their communities and around each other. And that entails into value of each individual. But with that, we plan to do these things, this complex vision and mission. We plan to do these things through media and technology, our strength, our passion. Um, and it seems pretty easy for us in our eyes. So that's hopefully this video makes it easier for you to see it in your eyes as well. But to sum it up, the mission is quite simple. We just want to deliver a transparent message of everything that we're doing, from empowerment, inspiration, to the social responsibility end of it. To make sure people understand the reason of why we're doing what we do, and then why you should do what you choose to do, and the things that we're not possibly doing, why we should be doing. That kind of entails all that. So with that, I just wanted to make sure I touched on the mission, the vision, and the main points of identifying our purpose and why of CGM. So hopefully that gave a good sum up. I'm gonna roll on because I think it's been quite some time to the next part, which is the values. I'm kind of move a little hasty through that because it's in the document and it gives you quite a bit more detail in the document if you read it for understanding. So I'm gonna move a little hasty through that to make this video not so long. But our values is most important to any entity, in any business, or any person. Right? You have to have a certain establishment of values. You got to be able to stand on certain values and understand your values based upon who you are. And I take that much serious now to these days than ever before. You got to be able to know what your main values is and why you value these things. As in why it makes you feel this way, why it makes you happy, why it makes you act this way, and why it makes you want to act and take initiative. So I'm gonna go down CampaignGanG's values and keep it brief as much as I can. Like I said, this is the first video in a while, so I'm kind of anxious to get it across and get the point across. So hopefully y'all listen long enough to take the content in and derive some suggestions and questions. Because I'm gonna be happy to answer those questions. So CampaignGanG values. CampaignGanG share values guide CampaignGanG team actions and decision making both at the parent company and in its business units. Any separate values that may be defined for business units are complementary to the values of the group. So, I mean, that's pretty much simply put. Our shared values, pretty much like I said from the top, they can be taken no matter what project we're doing or what partnership we have on the table. Our values, I believe, can be shared amongst each other to where we can get the job done, and it can be a complete success, and it can be awesome with the partnership, possibly building a relationship to where we all learn from each other. And that's something I kind of try to keep in mind while I put the values together and thought of each stipulation of each one. So I'm gonna roll into each clause of the values. And if you look at the document, you can see that I separated them and kind of detailed them for understanding. The first one is, excuse that chair, I'm not fat, it's just a squeaky office chair. Freedom and pluralism of journalism. Now, it sounds a little technical, it's not at all, so that's why I put a detail behind it, but I'm gonna repeat it again so you can have it distinct. The first one is freedom and pluralism of journalism. And freedom and pluralism of communication is a basic requirement for reliable journalism. We promote free speech and pluralistic public discussion with the goal of, oh, give me a second. Let me see who's this calling in. Hello? Hello? All right, so I don't know why everybody's trying to call in to me now. Excuse that. I really hate that. I need to learn. I need to put my phone on block while I'm going live for now. Yeah, but anyhow, freedom of pluralism in journalism. We promote free speech and pluralistic public discussion with the goal of treating all parties equally. I'm gonna elaborate on a lot of part of it in between, just so you can get a full understanding of what it means. For the most part, I'm gonna stop there. There's more to it, but I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate on that part. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that was somebody trying to call in and join in. Oh, okay. That was actually a call from somebody that was he added in. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and roll. I know time is moving on the video. Um, and so to elaborate on that a little bit, um, let's get into it a little bit on as far as in why we choose to promote the free speech and pluralistic public discussion the way we choose to do. Um, like I said, equally. Um, as we get writers and we get contributors, guest contributors, and people that plan to actually just contribute freely to our online community and potentially our digital magazine and so forth. I always stress the fact with my starter writers and even with myself to always be able to speak in quantity. And what I mean by quantity, to be able to cite facts and then also apply those facts to a large amount of people, and that entails research. But to be able to have the freedom to convey your opinion from your point of view without being scrutinized from viewers or even the team itself. So I kind of wanted to get that point across so people can understand. That's why we promote the free speech and the public discussion. Um, and the part of treating each one equally, that will keep us on a certain level of value of content. So it won't be one of those things where if Don over here is writing a story on white America, and from his perspective of white America, whether he's black or white, he won't be treated any different based upon his publication of that and his facts and findings. He'll be treated equally just as much of his credits and so forth, and advertising. He'll be treated equally, just the same as Brandon over here, which is African American or white, whichever he is. Content that he chooses to do on entertainment, and it's more suggestible to more people. Um, that had to be put in place to alleviate that. It won't be any difference. It'll all be treated the same, and even the people being spoken of won't be treated any less. I don't want to create any derogatory or degrading type content as much as possible. So that's emphasized on treating all parties equally, even on both sides of the fence. It's not to sugarcoat anything, but it's to keep in mind, values of other people and to value people regardless of your standpoint. And then continuing on into more of the detailed clause of that, CampaignGanG publications comply with the laws and regulations as well as ethical self-regulation in the field, journalistic guidelines, and its own ethical guidelines. That sounds a little complex of a statement, but it's simple. I'll put it this way. Our publications, we have a particular set of community laws we follow. And not only community laws, we have governmental laws that are in place in certain cities that we must respect always, especially being the media and the avenues we plan to go as a company. We plan to always respect our government officials to all extents. Um, we plan to always respect the policies that are put in place to protect the public and companies as well. So with that being said, we will always comply by those regulations, and we will draw them out in simple detail to where everybody that comes aboard CGM completely understand these regulations in their cities and wherever they are before we take action towards some projects to protect us and for our own liability. Um, as well as the ethical regulation, self-regulation at that. What I mean by that is that's how you feel about yourself, the respect you have for yourself. If you regulate that to a certain standard, we plan to enforce that at all terms, especially amongst our team, whether it's virtual or it's on set or on site. Whatever individual you feel that's ethical for you, we're going to support that, especially if it's something that's not going to damage our brand or something that's going to damage the team, in direct or indirect. Um, so we plan to follow that regulation as much as possible and support each other on that note. Journalistic guidelines, um, that entails, if a lot of you are in school for journalism, I'm more than sure they teach you about the guidelines and some of the ethical behaviors of being a journalist. Being a journalist, it has a lot of details behind it. I know quite a bit of them. I don't know all of them. It changes, and there's some added, some not added. It just all depends on the perception of who's teaching you. But understanding the journalistic guidelines, it helps you, for one, keep building attractive content. What I mean by attractive content on this note, staying along the lines to where you're not stepping on toes of people, you're not disrespecting your local enforcement, um, you're not crossing the boundaries of publishing stories. You're sticking into not so much of a boundary, you're sticking into the guidelines to keep our mission alive and to keep community journalism alive at that. You're actually making it easier by making that type of choice and sticking to the guidelines of being a journalist, which is particular. I'm gonna make sure as everybody that joins on the CGM gets an idea, particularly in the writing fields and the editing fields of the guidelines of journalists, especially photojournalism. It's very particular on the guidelines. Pictures have to be a certain way, certain quality. Stories should be written in certain tones for certain type of markets, and so forth. It's stipulations to it and how it's done. There's no one way. There are multiple ways, but they all have particular guidelines that we will abide by. Our team work independently of one another and CampaignGanG group in their journalistic decision making. What that means is our teamwork is particularly done in groups and sometimes in individuals, but it is moved and considered as one. We all work as one. So if Bob is over here producing a story and contributing, whether he's a guest contributor or an in-house contributor, he moves as CGM as one, as an in-house contributor, still being on the outside, meaning that his contribution is no less or any greater than anybody else. It's just on the same level, and it's treated as though it's derived straight from the home of CampaignGanG. It's not treated any less because he's not on a contract with us or a constant contributor. It is still treated the same as a team effort, and as it is a team effort because we have our editors that touches up everything that's published. We have our creative director who sees fits and on what type of content we're absorbing and so forth. We have a lot of different ways of deciding our journalistic approaches. So with that being said, that kind of wraps that up as far as understanding the journalistic guidelines. I'm gonna roll into the last half of the first one and go on to the next one. This value does not only apply to journalistic work. We communicate openly in a way that respects pluralism. And it takes the opinions of others into consideration in all of our interacting situations, such as meetings. I wanted to make that clear and elaborate on that just a little bit and roll on. But as I said in the first sentence, it's not only applied to what's being published by our journalists, whether you are a photojournalist or a writer or whatever you are, a content contributor to that extent. We want to be able to communicate in an open way. When I say open, I mean in a dialogue, have dialogue free, whether it's Facebook, phone call, whatever, to be able to speak freely on your suggestions and your vision. Because ultimately, yes, we have a vision as a business, but our vision is only great if your vision is collateral and our vision can benefit your vision. So with that being said, we want to be able to communicate openly to where you feel comfortable, you can speak and give your suggestions without doubt. And as I said, with the respects of pluralism, you'll be able to speak for a group, a large amount of people, and bring your vision forward based upon that. And it'll be accepted, whether you have those people with you or not. We will accept it for that. and your opinions will not be taken any less based upon your position in the company. Such as if you're just a contributor, no, you won't be treated any less than, let's say, one of my executives that sit with me. I personally want to make sure that's not done. Just because he sits next to me daily or 24 hours or whatever the case is, I'm not going to have it be that they're treated any better, because you're just as valuable to our organization as they are, and even myself. Biggest thing I want to kind of stop on, and not to just keep the time rolling on it. Value, like I said, I value everyone as a part of a benefit, whether it's for the business or personal life. We all replaceable. Even me, being the owner of CampaignGanG. I don't plan to always be the owner of CampaignGanG. If somebody comes along that sees and has better fit, a better vision, and they have the right credentials to move in that direction, unlike this presidency, I'm gonna vote for them, and they're gonna be the owner or CEO, whatever needs to be fit to move this mission. So we are replaceable, and so the opinions of anybody in situations are not treated any less. And all meetings are taken just as serious, whether it's one-on-one or just a live video like such. How it started, just me. It's taken serious, and it has to be taken serious, because we all, like we said from the top, our time is valuable and is cherished. So I'm gonna move on, through that. I just want to get that point out. Working according to this value also makes it possible to cooperate fruitfully with entities outside of CampaignGanG. So, like I said, it makes it very important that it's understood and we're able to follow our values. Because if we don't, we're out here just actually trying to find the next goal or get to the next goal wildly and unconsciously, and we're not going to move like that. Because if we're moving unconscious, we're doing things that we feel like at the moment is necessary, and not thinking for the long haul of affecting our team and also our brand. So by following this number one for one, it allows us to work and cling to our partnerships in an effort, in a greater effort, in a positive way, to where there's no exchange of negatives. There's no really bad reviews as much, and we can, like I said, we can fruitfully grow. A good partnership, because I'm big on partnerships. Whether you got your own entity and it's similar to ours, we can collab, and it's possible to be done as long as our values collapse. So that's the meaning of that. So rolling on to the next portion of that, which is it's a little bit more equipped. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this in half, and I'm gonna finish it up on a part two. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some more of the higher end content together, and to be able to answer more of the objectives on this value part. And not only that, I got to step out, and I will return. Hopefully you guys tuned in and caught enough from this first part. If not, the second part, I guaranteed I'm gonna answer and elaborate a lot smoother and cover a lot more interesting details as far as in our values. So hopefully you come back and you finish the part two. I'll be back.